Fellas, what's happening?
Nothing much, Brian. How you doing?
I am fantastic. I appreciate you guys taking some time out. Let's start with introductions, and I'll start with you, Ethan, since we go back.
Yeah,
You come from a basketball background out of Wake Forest University. Tell me about that.
I do. So yes, I was actually this is where I met Kemper, who we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so I was at Wake from '02 to '06, and actually my sophomore year, I hooked up with the basketball team where I was the basketball manager for the men's squad. And I did that for my sophomore through my senior year. And for all you basketball people out there, that's actually when Wake Forest basketball was really relevant and really good because we had a guy named Chris Paul. So it was an awesome time to be a Demon Deacon. You know, we got to number one in the country at one point. We should have won the ACC my junior year. We won't get into that, nor will we get into us getting upset in the second round. Uh,
Ouch.
but it was a great time. Loved my experience with the Deeks. And then it really showed me what I really wanted to do professionally. I knew I wanted to stay in collegiate athletics, especially with the basketball. And that really kind of opened my eyes to that experience and to, my passion for it. So I was lucky enough and fortunate that upon graduation, I got my first start at Central Michigan University, where I was the director of basketball operations. And I had 5 great years there. We made it to the WNIT a couple of years. It was a great learning experience. I loved who my head coach. She was a great mentor for me. And so after my 5th season, I was fortunate once again to get another opportunity to be a director of ops. And I went to Penn State University, and that is where you and I met. Yep, great Nittany Lion yourself. So once again, experienced some great success while I was with the team. We won 3 Big Ten titles. I was there for 8 seasons. So really, if you include my time as a student, I've been working in collegiate athletics for about 16 years, which is way too long. It just seems like I'm
Yeah,
super old.
man. And I
Yeah.
know that grind. I am impressed. So
Yeah.
so so Kemper, you guys met in college. Were you doing the same thing?
I was not doing the same thing. I
Uh,
was one of the crazies in the stands, yelling for the basketball team.
Yes.
And but Ethan and I were actually fraternity brothers, and so we met that way.
Got it.
And anything you're thinking right now about what our fraternity was like, you're definitely wrong. I'm just going to tell you
Look
because
at
Hey, don't be
us.
guessing what I'm thinking about your fraternity.
I
You don't
mean
know.
anybody, you hear the word fraternity, you got a certain images in mind. We were the quote unquote unfrat frat, so we were not like the traditional fraternities, but had a good
Right.
group of guys, and so Ethan and I became good buddies there. And I was, like I said, very passionate about basketball. Football was even a greater passion of mine. I was loved the football team. The football team at Wake Forest was so bad when I was there
We were
that
bad.
it was easy to get behind the basketball team.
Right. Was Pat Brogan coaching at Wake Forest when you were there? Ethan, does that name sound familiar?
Pat Grogan?
Pat Brogan, Brogan.
That does not sound
He
familiar.
was. Uh, oh, you know what? He was at Georgia Tech. Never mind. I'm
Come on,
sorry.
man.
No,
Wrong
hey, no
goal.
offense. I got the wrong ACC school.
Wrong
Wrong
goal.
gold. Get out of here with that.
But all right, so you guys have this awesome concept that I think, and I'll let you guys get into the advantages of it. But you're I'll call the Pool Boys. I sort of pulled that off of your website.
That's a
Like
great
it.
background you have. That is spectacular.
Look at those two studs. So either one of you talk about the genesis of the Pool Boys.
Yeah, well, I'll kind of let Kemper start because it kind of speaks a lot of his background as well in the corporate world. So, Kemp, why don't you kind of kick it off? And
Sure.
me, I'm the idea man, so I'll just jump in and whenever you need it.
We have a podcast, and Ethan's like my color commentary on that, so that works too. But so the same amount of time that Ethan spent doing collegiate basketball, collegiate athletics, I was in the corporate world doing staffing and recruitment, primarily in the accounting and finance space. And so through that, I got to see a lot of different companies, a lot of different company cultures. I was also in leadership myself. I got to develop company culture at my own different places I worked. So I realized the importance of that. There were so many macro issues going on at that time. In the very beginning, it was the Great Recession, so that was like a baptism by fire. But along the way, you would see these hiring trends where it was tough to retain talent, it was tough to find talent, and then it was hard for people to find jobs, and it kind of just bounces back and forth. But all along the way, the companies I found, companies that spent the most time dedicating to creating core values and culture and really investing in their employees, tended to do the best. They tended to attract the best talent, and the best talent made them the best companies as well. So that became something I became keenly aware of with my own companies as well. And so having a passion for enhancing company culture, enhancing the employee experience, I started thinking about some ideas when I left the staffing world, how I could continue to do that without having to go through the grind of recruitment. And so that's where Ethan and I kind of put our heads together. He's got all this creativity and all these ideas. He's got a lot of experience rolling out the red carpet, as I'll let him tell you, when he's trying to recruit talent and coming up with really neat event ideas. And so we put our two backgrounds together and it made a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, and Brian, as you know, because you were a director of ops yourself one time, one of the big parts of our job was, getting the kids to come to our school and recruit them and really want them to come to Penn State. And so one of my big emphases on my job was really rolling out that red carpet, really wanting them to have a unique experience, something memorable that, we only get them for a weekend or a couple unofficial visits. So you really got to make your mark in a short amount of time.
Right.
And so that was kind of my job, to really wow them, to make them go home and say, wow, I can't picture myself anywhere but Central Michigan. I can't picture myself anywhere but Penn State. And so, when Kemper and I were really talking about this idea, he had that passion in the corporate side, knowing that background of got to keep, spirits high, really keep engaged, feel that connection with corporate, feel that connection with branch campuses. And so then it brought to me, obviously working in a very team environment in general, and then just kind of seeing the creative ways that we can keep these people engaged. And so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and the timing, I think, is good because of COVID and what it has done to the workplace. So expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say that I was working during COVID. I was still in corporate America and saw the effects of get sent home for a couple of months. Then we're going to try and go back to the office. Oh, someone got sick, get sent back home again. And, very fortunate that it wasn't worse than someone getting sick, but a lot of companies were shaken by the whole thing. The talent, what that did to the talent pool was also kind of crazy. So between having remote employees, having hybrid employees, doing a hoteling system where some people are in some days and then they're out other days and other people come in, and it created a really disconnected workforce. It had some advantages because now you could recruit across the country and have remote employees. You could really expand your talent pool, but it made companies feel less connected in general because you weren't seeing people. There wasn't the water cooler talk. There weren't those team building events. There weren't, all hands meetings, that kind of thing. So when we live in this Zoom environment, it was tough to feel like, from what I kept hearing from talent, at least, and even on my own teams, it was tough to ever feel like you were ever part of the same organization. And so we were always looking for ideas as leaders to try and make our employees, kind of remind them of why we're all together and how, build those synergies and get ideas flowing again. And, the team meetings on Zoom and stuff, you get really tired of that over time. And even like the virtual happy hours and that sort of thing, it all kind of everyone was sort of over it, So that's it really did lend itself to the creation of this business as well.
Right. So let's talk about that, because I think, again, timing wise, great time, because we just finished football season. Yep. And we're moving into March Madness. So you guys essentially create this, I want to call it a corporate culture, office pool on steroids.
Yep.
Is the way I thought about it. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So tell us about the concept.
Yeah, for sure. And, you kind of hit on the head. It is kind of on steroids, or I guess our tagline is kind of leveled up. So, we were talking about it really way back in 2022, way back, so long ago, back in January, and we knew March Madness was coming up. And so we were talking about, we literally met up. So Kemper's in Nashville. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we literally met up in Indianapolis as like our middle spot. And we just had a weekend kind of like a brainstorming session of what we can do. And we really knew March Madness was a great concept of how we can get people involved. And so we thought, okay, everybody does office pools, right? But how often when you're in the corporate environment or whatever environment, you might fill out a bracket, forget about it, and then you might check in at the end and say, hey, oh, how did I do? Oh, I came in 38th. Great. Who cares? So we kind of wanted to capitalize on that, because March Madness is such a unique experience, such a fun thing that literally anybody can do, and the majority of people do. And so we really want to make it a bigger, better, unique experience. Again, that same recruitment idea. We want you to remember this, same kind of idea. And so what we're doing is we're coming into companies. We're saying, hey, we're going to come in. We're going to set up a customizable office pool. It's got your branding on it, everything. We go through a third-party site. So it's not just your Yahoo. It's not just your ESPN. This is something custom to your company. So you got, the company pride on there. You got that customization itself. And then we're going in, we're filming recap videos after each of the weekends. And we, what that does is we're making up awards, so we're calling people out saying, hey, great job, Brian. You picked St. Peter's to beat Kentucky. Didn't know what you were thinking at the time, but holy crap, it looks amazing now. You get the like Crystal Ball Award and stuff like that. But then we might see people who are struggling in the pool and say, ooh, Kemper, don't know what you were thinking having St. Peter's going all the way to the finals. But hey, you know what? That's kind of head scratching. But so anyway, it's getting people, it's calling people out, it's getting people involved. And again, creating that communication, because after you watch the video, you might see him later in the day. It's like, Brian, hey, saw you got that award. That was awesome. Really cool. Can't wait to see what you do next couple rounds. So it's just, Kemper was talking about that, that water cooler talk. And that's kind of the concept.
I love the concept, and then I went and looked at the video here.
He pulled up the video.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go. I mean, we're ludicrous. We'll throw in clips. I mean, Kemper and I are big kind of pop culture guys, and so we'll throw in movie quotes. We'll throw in, clips of the movies. I mean, we got, again, there's just an example of one of our awards is the Wrecking Ball, where, after first couple of weeks, you crash into the top 10 and, we have Miley Cyrus blaring, we got their face on top of the Wrecking Ball, all that kind of stuff. So it's really, again, we're going over the top. We're making it a red carpet experience. And again, touching as many people as we can.
And I like this too.
The caboosin. The caboosin. This actually was pretty wild because this girl needed a very specific set of games to go her way. And we were really hyping it up the week before. And then those games all happened. And so we were really jacked. And she got out of the caboose into second to last place, which was exciting,
Yeah, no, I loved it. I just wanted to share that. Thanks for indulging me. But yeah, that watching the video, I'm like, yeah, that would be cool in a company, because you said it, like, if I did office pools, the rare times I do office pools because somebody asked me my opinion, and so maybe I would follow a little bit. But to be able to have this website where you're essentially getting like an ESPN inside your company, ESPN recap of the day in sports or whatever. So yeah, I do love how you guys do that, like adding all the clips in there, and the Star Wars, and I love it. I love it. Yeah. So you're if you're a company, you're probably wanting to reach out to the HR directors. Would that be like your target audience to introduce your concept?
Yeah, that's one of the targets for us for sure. If a company has got someone assigned to company culture specifically, number one, that that's an important value to them because they've made a hire for someone to focus on that. Number two, that person is looking for these kinds of opportunities all the time. That's a great starting point. That person's going to fall under HR. And so if there's not a specific titled person with culture, it's probably your HR director. For a smaller company where you've got a more entrepreneurial spirit, a CEO or a founder, maybe a COO. Ultimately, those people are going to be decision makers, are going to get involved in the process anyway. It's not an expensive product, so someone can swipe a corporate card on this thing and expense it. But at the same time, because it's going to capture the entire company, it's a decision usually that usually makes its way to the top.
Right. Yeah. So the getting out and seeing, getting the word out to all the people. Obviously, I'm going to share it with the people in my 5,000 of my closest friends. If they have, like if they've done them in the past, there's no way they've done them like you're doing them.
Not at all.
No way.
Right. And if they want to really, because I know that even, our company, sometimes I feel disconnected. So if that's one of the pains that because any great concept is, if there's a problem, you create a solution to that problem. And it sounds, from what I can see, that's what you guys are doing. Right.
I mean, for us, we want to create like a fun solution, because also we're kind of taking the load off the person, because companies might say, we have a Frank who does our office pool. But I guarantee you, Frank is already going to have a heavy workload at work anyway. And two, Frank's not going to want to spend the time to set up the pool, gather all the picks from everybody, enter them in if they have to, stuff like that. I mean, what Kemper and I are doing is we're literally combing through everybody's bracket. We're looking at the trends, we're looking at the crazy picks, we're looking at the good picks. You know, we're really looking at everybody's with a fine-tooth comb to really come up with this creative content that they can appreciate and hear about themselves. Because who doesn't like hearing their own name? Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And just the productivity, like it takes time to run a pool.
Yes.
So if you're a CEO or HR person, you're now solving that problem for like, you know, however many minutes it takes or hours it takes to run the pool, you're taking that off their hands and then just blowing it up with all the graphics and the play-by-play and the comedy, because there's definitely comedy in there.
It is fun. It's fun and funny and great looking and all of those things, because we're all those things. I do think I like to highlight always that there are two like main goals here. Obviously, employee engagement is kind of what we pitch, but I think internal communication is huge with this. And the fact that we're trying to get as many people involved in this and it's as inclusive as it is an effort to get more people at your company participating in something together. And when you have people participate together, and especially when you have people watch the videos together, you create relationships internally. And what that does from a productivity standpoint, I can attest to this. I had groups that recruited, I mentioned accounting and finance professionals. Well, in a staffing company, you're also probably have divisions of your company that recruit IT professionals, supply chain, operations. We had medical device sales, recruiters. We had all kinds of different divisions that didn't seemingly have a lot to do with each other. But when we competed in things together, or when we participated in things together, and you forged some personal relationships, suddenly there became these synergies that we didn't know existed. There were cross-selling. There were clients that opened up to each other. There was a little trust being built on a foundational level. And this something like this sounds silly and fun, and it is both of those things, but it really does have positive impacts in the workforce from a productivity standpoint and from a potential for your sales. I mean, it has real world tangible benefits as well. So it's not just lighthearted, although it is lighthearted.
No question. No, I love it. Final thoughts before you give the information in case someone wants to reach out and essentially plug and play what you guys are doing into their company.
Final thoughts. I mean, for us, what we also do is it breaks down any potential barriers. I mean, if you look at a March Madness, you don't have to know anything about sports. So right now, our main offerings are sports related, but you really don't have to know anything about it, which I think is also a great point. So, you know, in the past, people might be hesitant to join a pool. It's like, oh, I don't know the teams, or I don't know football, or I don't know basketball. It doesn't matter, because most of the times you're going to find people, you know, picking based on colors, locations, whatever.
Oh, I love the name.
Yeah, based on the name.
I love Cardinals. Yeah.
And honestly, those are the people who end up having the most success. Sometimes having knowledge is a detriment. So, you know, we break down any potential barriers, and it's just about opening doors. I mean, that's our biggest thing. Kemper hit on the head with increasing communication and just the camaraderie amongst the office. You know, our clients have kind of gone a step above what we even offer, because they'll have watch parties where they'll say, hey, every Thursday we're getting together at 10 a.m. to watch the Pool Boys video. And we think that's awesome. And, you know, we've done a couple live ones. I mean, it's great to see how it's expanded, and we're excited to see what else it can become and do for.
Well, I love the concept, and the timing is great, because, you know, you guys could, if there's a company right now that wants to do a March Madness pool, you guys can make that happen for them.
100%.
Yep.
All right. So how would they get in contact with you?
www.thepoolboys.net. That's our website. Just got a facelift. It looks awesome. That's the cover page right behind BA here. Those handsome devils right there. And we've got an email. It's wearethepoolboys@gmail.com. You can reach us that way. There's a get in touch form at the bottom of our website. But our website's also got a compilation video you can check out and see exactly what this thing's going to look like. And you were showing that video, a couple of clips from that. It just gives a few clips from actual videos that we sent to our clients and shows sort of the tenor, the cadence, the comedy, whatever, the references, creativity, all of that. It's all kind of,
you had some big time clients in there.
We did have a couple of big time clients in there for sure. So it's not exclusive to small or large companies. We can make a solution fit for you guys.
Exactly.
Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Best of luck. I'm going to share this because I know there's somebody out there that would love to utilize your services. So again, you know, I can't say enough about how I do love what you guys are doing. So best of luck to you.
Hey, thanks, BA. Really appreciate the time. It's fun. Always great seeing you. So appreciate the conversation, man.
Yes, and give Kirsten and Brady and Addison a hello for me.
I will, for sure. No
All
problem.
right. All right. Take care. See you, Kemper.
Brian, thank you, sir.